All right, so it's probably like 1 3-day weekend too late for this video to matter, but I'm gonna just go ahead and do it anyway, because sometimes you just gotta pop out and show niggas. So I think we can safely say at this point that this beef is basically over, and it's almost assuredly the biggest L of Drake's career, more importantly. Like, I mean, it's bad when even the light-skinned ladies are telling him it's time to hit the bricks, right? As has become customary in rap battles these days, a number of shocking allegations have been levied by and against both artists, the most disturbing of which being Drake's complicity and possible participation in pedophilia and sex trafficking. Now, I'm not going to even bother talking about the wife beater allegations against Kenny because they were effectively disproven like 10 years before Family Matters even dropped. And I do want to make clear that despite the substantial circumstantial evidence we have from over the years, and now even a number of anecdotal accounts, these are just allegations against Drake. For now, at least. And that's the thing I want to get into. I went back and forth over the weekend of the great hip-hop civil war of 2024 about how I felt seeing two of the biggest egos in hip-hop cosplay Captain Save the Maidens for the sake of a diss track battle. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I did feel some type of way about it, particularly toward Kendrick, because I'll be real, I expect as much from a nigga who leaked the video of his own DDL, allegedly. Considering the themes of Mr. Morale in particular, I don't know, man. This felt like watching a backslide in real time, if you know what I mean. But was it, though? Listen, I'm not going to try to argue that Kendrick, whether purposefully or not, literally reduced misogynoir and abuse to a punchline. I'm not even going to argue that he wasn't wrong to do so. But I will say that I kind of understand why he did. And just like the beef that provoked it, it's got nothing to do with rap. And if the theory that the Like That feature was meant to bait Drake into the open warfare that he's been avoiding for like the past 10 years is to be believed, then I'm all but assured that this is why Kenny did it. The thing you gotta understand is that Kendrick, even if he's not a street nigga, is still a hood one. And no, just because y'all saw a couple pictures of him hanging with Pyrus and throwing up gang signs from 20 years ago doesn't make him street. Like, Jesus, these cul-de-sac dwellers, there's something got to be done about them, man. FD, and insert your favorite bread tuber here have all made videos talking about American policing with conclusions that range from, hey guys, the cops may not be as great as SVU makes them out to be, to cops are not only ops, but they're basically Klansmen. Even the black ones, especially the black ones. That one was my video. Point I'm getting at is it'd be kind of hypocritical for me to shade a dude for not calling the cops in a scenario that I myself was trained basically from birth to handle myself. What I'm getting at is I get the criticism, and I'm not saying it's not warranted or deserved, but what was the cops going to do besides make shit worse? For the handful of y'all who actually did bother to listen to what a hood nigga had to say about police in the hood, y'all remember me saying that they almost never make things better, let alone solve crime. And in that video, I had the numbers to back it up. So if you do want them, go over there and boost my views, why don't you? But specifically in the case of sex crimes, according to Rain, out of every 1,000 sex offenders, 975 of them never spend any time in jail or prison. The implication I got from Meet the Grams especially is that the iceberg goes way deeper than Drake, to the point of being endemic to the industry, which would kind of explain why Kendrick and Cole only ever seem to pop up once every blue moon to drop new music and then go back to cycling and hotepping respectively. And if that be the case, not gonna lie, I get why you wait until the world was watching to make yourself seen. If you're gonna call something or someone out, especially someone that rich and powerful, you wanna make sure it's gonna count, is what I'm saying. Cosby, Kelly, Weinstein, these were niggas that we knew were nasty for years, but it took a whole BLM scale social movement for them to get their just desserts. And that was only after famous white women started caring to put their 2 cents in. Like, remember, Me Too was a movement going back to like the late 2000s that was started by a black woman. You kind of seeing my point? All right, well, maybe not. So let me just continue to make it. One of those men got out on a technicality, and the other is probably going to at some point also. So, yeah. Matter of fact, we heard stories for years about R. Kelly showing up randomly at Chicago high schools to scout out talent. Never mind the fact that we literally watched this man piss on a teenager, but the nigga made a whole album with Aaliyah about statutory rape. And it still took a whole documentary almost 30 years later for him to finally get his prison slides. My point is, calling the cops is at best a crapshoot. And that's when you've been so nasty for so long that your dirt is practically public record. Again, my point isn't to defend Kendrick, but it is to say, why is our gut reaction whenever anyone does blow the whistle to find a way to undermine it? And that's a big if we believe them to begin with. The next thing is always well, why didn't you say something sooner? And if not them, then the only reason that they said something in the first place was either to extort money, build publicity for themselves, or to exercise a grudge. See Williams, Cat as reference for that last point. Not gonna lie, I feel like part of it is the fact that most of us don't really care as much as we care to talk about it. Or at least we don't care enough to do anything or stop listening to this one's music or watch that one's movies, so we make a straw man for ourselves to punch instead. Point I'm getting at is, if you ask me, the manner in which Kendrick made those allegations or the length of time he waited to make them are far less important than the fact that he did. And that's what we should really be concerned about. We'll wait till later to ask why Kendrick held that info and for how long, and why he decided to use it as a punchline in what's ultimately just an elaborate dick measuring contest between the living embodiments of small man and light skin syndrome alike. But since we're already here, why would Kendrick wait? I mean, the hood niggas already know, but again, I'm trying to cross over y'all. Why y'all think I got an editor for the last video? Hip-hop music, being a product of the black inner city experience, has always had ties to the underworld to varying degrees. The scariest mofos in the music industry are the niggas most of y'all have never heard of, and if you have, it's only because they're really, really scary. Who do y'all think was buying all the equipment and financing the studio time and paying the DJs and club owners to spin your favorite rapper of yesteryear's demo tape? It was the pimps, the dope boys, the street hustlers looking for either another stream of income or an avenue out of the game. And these are the niggas you don't want to run afoul of. I'm talking about the Jimmy Henchmans and the Gangsta Williamses and the Supreme McGriffs of the world. Niggas who had the resources to put you on, and most importantly in this case, take you out if need be. Again, I'm not saying that they have. I'm just saying that if they wanted you to get touched, then you would. That's all I'm saying. Please, Jesus, don't let the wrong person see this video. I mean, we've heard rumors about Diddy for decades, right? And now all the telephone game stories about how dangerous Diddy really is are just being confirmed. And it took 30 years to do so. Point I'm getting at is, even someone as big as Kendrick, a Pulitzer Prize winner and arguably the second biggest rapper of the past decade, along with being probably the most culturally significant one of the same period, can be touched if the right people wanted him to be, or at the very least those closest to him could be, especially when he was still under contract. Like, weren't y'all just clutching pearls a month ago over Drake and Kendrick becoming our generation's Big and Pac, even though Big and Pac's beef was almost totally one-sided and, more importantly, had little, if anything, to do with their actual beef, and probably had more to do with Suge and Diddy swapping baby mamas like 4 years earlier? Again, please, Jesus, don't let the wrong person see this. All I'm saying is, I can very well imagine Kendrick being confronted with the ugly truth about the industry that he longed to break into, and ultimately which became an enabler of his own sins, and realizing that one, he didn't want no part of it, and two, he was way too deep in the rabbit hole to blow the whistle without the wrong person hearing it first. Point I'm getting at is I'm all but assured that there are some NDAs or other such measures to keep Kendrick and other artists from going full stool pigeon, which is why I don't find it at all surprising that he's moving so recklessly after going independent. And that still don't mean he or his people won't suffer some kind of fallout, like he's even said so himself if you paid attention to the music. Look, I understand if this video might rub some folk the wrong way. I'm not saying that it shouldn't. And I completely understand why folks feel salty about the idea that Kendrick maybe sat on what is potentially information on an organized racket of child sex traffickers for the sake of a rap beef. I still feel a certain level of ick myself about it, to be honest. But if you ask me, the questions to ask right now is not about what Kendrick did, but what are we going to do? Basically, what I'm saying is this video ain't even really about Kendrick. It's me making my case once again for communal policing for all of y'all who didn't watch that video. It's one of the many elements of what I grew up calling hood justice and what the academics and left tubers are just discovering in like the past 3 or 4 years. And they pat themselves on the back for realizing it's possible because, as I always say on this channel, it doesn't exist until white people figure it out. Just ask Marx. I'll wrap this up by saying that Kendrick is neither saint nor savior, nor has he ever claimed to be. And if you think he has, you either haven't listened to his music or you probably think Come Home the Kids Miss You wasn't all that bad. It was, for the record. Even worse than that, honestly. Kendrick is just a hood nigga, and this is how hood niggas handle situations like what he's alleged, or one of the less violent ways. Let's put it that way. Is it the right way to handle it? But at EOD, it's been handled. And to me, that's what matters most. I'm FD Signifier, and this has been like... Put
that on that beat, go. Hey, monster on the beat, ho, Debo, any rap nigga, he a freak throw, man down, call her Amber Lambs, tell him breathe, bro, nail a nigga to the cross, he walk around like Tizo. What's up with these jabroni ass niggas trying to see Compton? The industry can hate me, fuck them all and they mama. How many options you really got? I mean, it's too many options. I'm finna pass on this body, I'm John Stockton.